I'm on the go and travel often to capture video for clients, and I think I finally did it. I used every single thing that I brought with me on my latest trip, so I'm going to give you my camera bag breakdown in today's video and show you how I used all of the equipment that I used to capture everything that I needed for these projects. My name is Cree, and on this channel, I talk about tech with context. If you're interested in learning how I use tech for my video production services, I invite you to subscribe. So as I mentioned, I've been traveling a lot lately for clients to capture client work. I've been to conferences, events, and I was recently out in California to capture the progress on a custom home build. And I think I finally did it. I have used every single thing that I've carried in my bags. And if you're like me, it's taken me years to do this. And this breakdown is fantastic. It's lightweight. I haven't had to check any baggage. One of the pieces of luggage that I bring goes in the overhead compartment. The other one fits nice and easy underneath my seat. And without further ado, let's look at what's in my camera bag. The first one is this bag. This is the Brevit bag. This is the first gen bag. I have been carrying this bag for years now, and I'm going to do a video about camera bags. I have way too many, and this is the one that I gravitate to the most. So just to give you a general breakdown, when I travel for clients, there's kind of a couple rules that I go by. One is if I am carrying anything, even if it's in a backpack, I want to keep it, no more than 15 pounds, 20 pounds at the most. And, this seems like a small size bag, but this equipment and the weight of the equipment adds up very quickly. So the other thing is I want it to be as small as possible. I do have other bags that fit under the little space underneath the seat in front of me on the plane, but then I'm unable to stretch my legs out or get comfortable for the flight. So anyway, I've landed on this bag, and the smaller the bag, the less or the more difficult it is to fill it up with a bunch of heavy things. So this is what I tend to gravitate to. I'm not going to go through this bag right now and give you like a camera bag review per se. I have talked about this bag in the past. I'm just going to show you what I brought on this latest trip. So first of all, I always bring a water bottle. Of course, it's empty because I'm going to check in to my flight, and you can't take a full water bottle through security. But there's been so many times I've been on site and I haven't had water, or there isn't water there, and then I end up not drinking water for a long period of time. So I always bring a water bottle when I'm traveling, or if I am, just doing a video shoot locally, I'll do that. Now this one, the way it shuts is it has a clasp on it so that I can shut the water bottle, but then I can put this clasp and it locks it down. So that way it's not going to leak and get any of my gear wet while I'm traveling. So definitely have that all the time. Here in the front part of the backpack, again, I'm just keeping this nice and light and simple. And my goal always is to, one, make sure that I have all the gear I need for the shoot. And number two, I want to use all the gear. If I'm carrying it and lugging it around and I don't use it, I get real cranky about it. So anyway, always a work in progress, but that's just my mission when it comes to camera bags. So I do have a rechargeable battery here. This is for my phone when I'm carrying my phone on trips. This one's nice. I can plug in accessories, but it's MagSafe connected, so I can charge my phone on the go. The other thing I have in this pocket are my AirPods. This is primarily for the plane, or if I need to make any phone calls or anything like that. I have AirPods with me. And let's see, that's pretty much it when it comes to this front pocket. I could probably stuff this pocket full of a bunch of stuff, but I don't because I want to pack light. All right, now these bags, if I open this compartment right here, what you can do with these bags is it comes with an organizer. So there's a bunch of dividers you can put in here. You can actually place your camera gear in here. But for this trip, I actually have my my overhead luggage bag, which we'll look at in a minute, has all my camera gear in it. So when it comes to this backpack, this is all that I have here in this bag. in order to access everything, we do have to unzip the top. But what I have in here is the Peak Design travel tripod. And this is just in the case it comes with. So I open it right here. There's the tripod. This is the carbon fiber one, so it's pretty light. The other thing I bring are these selfie sticks. So this is going to give you a good idea of what's to come when it comes to the cameras that I bring with me. These are the selfie sticks that if you're using an Insta360 camera, you can't see the stick. It's a disappearing stick. So I bring a short one, and then I also bring a longer one. This one is 300 centimeters long. This is great. So I'll go over why I bring this. And then recently, now, as I mentioned, this particular shoot, I am going to be doing some gimbal work. So I have the RS3 Mini, and I just put it right here in the backpack. And you notice there aren't any feet on here, and you'll see why in a minute. This is so small and compact and light. The downside is I can't have this set up where it's already balanced. I do prefer to do that. I like to balance my camera on the gimbal before I head on site. In this case, the way that my camera balanced on this gimbal, it wouldn't pack down to this size. So I will have to balance the gimbal on site, but I can do that fairly quickly. And this is all that's in this bag. That's it. It's nice and light. It fits underneath. I don't have to worry about anything. So this is what's in the backpack that I'm carrying on my back and I'm placing underneath the seat in front of me on the plane. Okay, next up, this case is obviously a little heavier than the backpack. But this is the case that I bring with me that I place in the overhead compartment above me on the plane. This is the Nanuk 935. There are a bunch of hard cases like this. I just take it because it protects my gear. I don't have to worry about it. It's nice and yellow. I don't forget it anywhere. And if I set it in a corner on site at a job, I know exactly where the gear is. You know, it's orange, so it's going to stand out. But let's go ahead and open this and I'll show you what's inside. All right. So what I'm doing here is I've got an FX3. This has a 16 to 35 millimeter lens on it. This is the A7R5. It's got a 24 to 70 millimeter lens on it. Here in the middle, I've got a bunch of things. I'll go over that in a minute. I did take the 14 millimeter, I think this is the Rokinon Samyang 14 millimeter lens. I am going to explain exactly why I bring everything, what I use it for. These are charged batteries, so I can easily grab them when I need them. Up here is wireless mic in this little pouch. Got the DJI one here. This is ND filter and any adapters that I might need depending on the lens I'm bringing. And then I do bring a shotgun mic. In the middle here, let's go ahead and run through this. So these are the feet that go to the selfie sticks or the extension poles and also the gimbal. So I do place these here in the middle so that I'm just trying to decrease the amount of weight that I bring and put everything as I can on wheels. So in this case, this does have wheels, and so I can easily carry it around. You know, now that I bring this out, this is the one piece of gear I did not use on this trip, but I'll explain to you why I brought that. And then I have the Insta360 camera. This is just in the neoprene case that it comes with. Next thing I have in here is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. This is the creator kit. So it came with this case. It also comes with this extra battery. I'll go over why I brought this one. More legs. More legs. And then this is just the smaller size DJI battery. And then I have an adapter in here in case I need this for any reason, which I'll explain in a minute. And then these go on the bottom of the camera if I need to mount anything to a tripod or to a selfie stick. Now up here on the top of the Nanuk, this is actually why I like this case so much. First of all, it has wheels. I've already mentioned that. It's sturdy. It's going to protect my gear, but it comes with this pocket system up top. You can tuck a laptop back here if you want. I'm just trying to save as much weight as possible. I know a lot of you out there like big cameras and big rigs, but for me, I actually prefer to be as small, light, and nimble as possible. So I like to have everything organized all in this spot. So here, instead of a laptop where I might download files on SD cards when they're full, I just bring a case like this so that I can bring extra SD cards if I need more space, more memory for my cameras. Other thing I have in here, just a pair of earbuds. If I am going to do audio on site, I have those in here. Over here, I have one of these blower babies. So if I need to clean a lens or anything like that, I have here. I think I have some cleaning tissue in here. I also have, put one of these in your kit if you don't have it. This is tape. It's body and clothing tape. So, when people wear button-up shirts and it tends to open up, I'll just tape it up for them, and then they're not showing their chest or anything like that. Up here, I have a system for batteries. I have fresh batteries down here, and then after I use them, I place them up here in this little pocket on the top. It works well for me. Whatever battery system you're using or battery type, have a system so you know exactly where the charged batteries are, and then you're placing the dead batteries in a place out of the way that you're not going to accidentally grab one if you're going for a fresh battery. So this is just kind of the system I used this weekend. I had the blower baby down here. What else do I have down here? Oh, I have another mount. I have those everywhere. And this, I don't know if you can see this, but if you're traveling on a plane, I've had my little, I have a small rig tool where it has it's everything I need to make adjustments on the camera or any mounts, like, that flat head and different hexes and things like that. But if you're traveling, I've had those confiscated before because TSA thinks it might be a knife. So I actually have this. This one's made by Falcam. It's just a small size. I don't know if you can see it. I'll do it on the overhead camera. It's just a small sized tool so that if I am using any of the mounts that I have in here, these are the mounts that go on the bottom of your camera. Let me see here. So see this mount right here? This tool is going to be able to help me tighten or loosen any of these mounts. So what I'll typically do with this when I'm on site is I might put this in my pocket. So I have the tool with me, or this particular pack just has this little Velcro tab here. So I just put it on here. And if I need to tighten or loosen any of the camera mounts that I take with me, then I have that tool with me. So this is the rundown. Now what I'll do is I'll run through each camera, the lens options I chose, and how I use them on site. First up are the mirrorless cameras that I took on this trip. And, I should explain before I get into cameras and all the gear. Did you notice there was no lighting in the case? If you are interested in learning about my approach to lighting, it might be a little unconventional, but I hardly ever travel with lighting anything. That might be a little controversial for some of you, but if you're interested in learning about my lighting breakdown, let me know in the comments below. I have some workarounds that I use when I'm traveling so I don't have to lug lighting gear anywhere. So anyway, back to cameras. These are the two cameras that I chose to bring with me. The first was the FX3 with a 16 to 35 millimeter f4. So I bring this camera because look how small it is. And this is what I use on the gimbal. It is compact. It's small in size. I am shooting more landscape stuff. And even if I'm shooting an interview, I have the 16 to 35 millimeter range here. F4 works fine for me. I don't want a blurry background if I'm using this camera. I'm putting this on the gimbal and I want to capture everything and anything that's in front of the lens. I don't want anything to be blurred out or anything like that. So what I do on this camera is I set the settings to 60 frames per second. If I want slow-mo, this is the only camera that will have that setting on it. It's all set up and ready to go. So all I have to do is place this on the gimbal, do a quick balance on site, and I'm ready to fly. So that's this setup. And I just leave this for B-roll only. It's kind of how I handle this. As far as the second camera that I take, this is the A7R5. It could be any camera that has a viewfinder. So I'm a videographer first. But when you're on site and people see you with a camera, they just assume that it's a photography camera also, and they are always asking you to take photos. I just let clients know that I am not a professional photographer, but I'll do my best. And that's where the viewfinder comes in handy. Also, the viewfinder is super handy if you want to place your face up to the viewfinder and then use this as like a stabilization tool. I do this all the time. Some people use like their camera strap to make their camera stable if they're panning, but I actually just put it up to my eye and just do this. And it creates a nice stable shot. It's one thing that I do to stabilize. And then again, I have the viewfinder. If it's super sunny out and I can't see the screen, then I have a camera with a viewfinder. So I use this camera if I'm going to shoot A-roll. I'm going to use this camera. Also, I'll set that wide angle camera up in a corner sometimes just to capture whatever's going on in the room. And then this camera I have set up with the 24-70. So I have a zoom lens on site with me. It's also an f2.8. So if I am doing an interview and I want kind of a blurry background, well, this is the camera I'm going to reach for. So for this particular shoot where I was shooting a house and or landscape and or a majority of the footage was everything but an interview, I mostly used this camera on that shoot, but I do have this one, and I did use this one a lot. Also, for low light areas in the home or in a space, I can use this camera as well. The A7R5, this camera I also love. This screen on here, it tilts up. I don't know if you can see that. It tilts down, tilts up, it tilts out and around. Sony just nailed this screen on this camera, and I'm hoping to see them integrate this this screen setup on future cameras like the future FX3 or A7S3. But either way, this is a joy to use. It's easy to switch from video to stills right here on the top, and I bring this as my second camera. Now, I touched on the lens options that I choose to mainly shoot with. The other lens that I chose to take on this trip was the Samyang 14mm f2.8. Now, when it comes to real estate or videoing small spaces, this is always a nice lens to have because it's going to give me a little wider of an angle. I did have the 16mm, the 16 to 35mm with me, but having a 14mm f2.8 means that I have better option for low light and also for those small spaces. I'll use this lens. I did use this lens on site. I used it for a very short amount of time, but I did use it. It came in handy. Next up, let's take a look at audio, the audio options that I took with me. Again, keeping in time with the theme of small, lightweight, compact. Here is the Sony, I forget what model this one is, but I don't have to have a cord with this one. I just place it into the hot shoe adapter on the top of the camera and it works. Nice small size. And then I just brought a wireless microphone with me. In this little pouch, I have a DJI system with me. I do have a lav mic if I need it. And then over here in the core, in this little pouch, I have the cable if I want to use this with my camera. Or I also have the phone widget. So I did have my iPhone with me. So if I want to use this camera with the iPhone, I can. So this trip, I did not plan on doing any type of interview. It wasn't in the plan. It wasn't in the pre-production plan, but you never know. So I always bring microphones with me, and these microphones are so small and easy to use that it just makes sense to include these in. So I guess I didn't use these either. I didn't use the microphone system here, but I had it with me just in case. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the Insta360 camera that I brought with me, along with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. These are not those cameras, but I'm going to show you kind of how I use all of this stuff on site and how I put these small cameras to work when I'm on site with a client, and how I use all this other stuff that I carried with me. So first up, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I love this little camera. I like it better than the GoPros right now. I'm using it all the time. It's great because you just flip it on and it just turns on right away. You just flip the screen over. That's how I have it set up. And it's just going to turn on for you. So what I do with this camera is I'll use this shorter selfie stick that's actually an Insta360 stick, but I think it goes out to about 3 feet. And I use this larger size set of legs. And all I'm going to do right here is I'm going to make this into a tripod for this camera. So it's as easy as this. So at this particular shoot, it was a move-in day for the house. And what I did was anytime I needed to capture something, but I couldn't be there, or I was in the way, there were movers in there assembling furniture and all that stuff, I just stuck this in a corner and I just hit record. So that way I can go and shoot other things. I can shoot the team coming into the room, bringing all the furniture in, and then I have this set up in a corner, and it's capturing whatever it is the person's doing. So this worked out really, really well. I like the image on this camera. It's fun. It's got the gimbal, so I can walk around with it and not worry about it. You could also use a GoPro. There's all different types of small size cameras. This is the one I chose to take with me on this trip, and it worked really well. The other camera I brought with me is the Insta360. This camera, I don't know if I'm ever going to own another GoPro again. I use this camera all the time. So the other thing you don't see here in this setup is a drone. I was only on site for about 5 hours. So I flew in. I think I arrived at the house at about noon, and then I only stayed there till about 5 o'clock until I needed to head back to the airport and fly home. It was just a day trip in and out. So what this camera allows me to do is place it at the end of this very long selfie stick. This is also made by Insta360. So if you use it, this stick disappears. You can't see it when you're editing the footage. And I just place this very high up in the sky, and it looks like a drone. If you've ever been on site and you're flying a drone to capture footage for a project, that could have easily taken up the entire 5 hours that I was there. But because I didn't have that kind of time, I also wasn't there, at sunrise or sunset, during blue hour or golden hour or anything like that. I was working with harsh daylight, sunlight, and I wanted a drone effect. I wanted to be able to kind of fly this into the house, fly the camera into the house, and you probably saw the footage at the beginning of this video. That's what I use. That's actually what I use more and more. I hardly ever bring a drone anymore. There's plenty of stock footage out there where I can get those high footage. But when it comes to being on site anywhere, I'm using the Insta360 for a majority of those shots. I will go into more detail about lighting in a future video, but if I'm on site, and although I'm not planning to capture an interview of the client, what I am doing nowadays when it comes to lighting is I'm just using a window as my key light. And what's nice about using a window as a key light is I'll set the camera up in front, the window will be behind me. I'll set up the camera facing the client, and then I can get that nice depth of field behind them. I have a beautiful key light that's lighting up their face. I can actually adjust the harshness of that light by either bringing the person closer to the window or a little further back from the window. And that's generally how I'm shooting interview style videos when I'm traveling like this or when I want to stay light. It's been working out great, and I will do a more in-depth video about my philosophy for lighting in general, but that is how I handle lighting when I'm on site. And, these shoots are in the day. the sunlight is harsh, and really it's just working with what you have. The ND filter does help sometimes. It just depends on where the sun is and where you're shooting and what it is that you're trying to accomplish in that shoot. So this is the setup that I'm using right now. It worked really, really well, either if I'm throwing this stuff in the back of my car and I'm traveling somewhere here in town, or if I'm getting on an airplane and I'm doing some traveling to capture footage for a client. This is what my current camera bag setup looks like. If you have any questions or comments, leave down in the description below. And if you are interested in these types of videos, I invite you to give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you next week. Thanks as always for tuning in, and I'll see you again in next week's video.